No, I can hear you. I am restarting the live stream for you to see my computer screen. Okay. Can you see my computer screen?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so we left off at the strata sampling, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, now, looking at my computer screen, if I asked you to do a strata sampling, how would you do it?
Um, I would section like the topics into like the ones that have similar ideas.
Okay, good. That's it. That's actually the correct, right? That's the same. Um, that's the key part of the strata is making sure that they have a same characteristics. Okay, because strata sampling can also help us notice differences. Okay. Okay. Next, cluster. Right. Don't worry, we're gonna see the difference soon. Cluster. Right. What about if I ask you to a cluster sampling? Okay. How would you do this? If I ask you to cluster this?
Um, so they like look like the population.
Okay. So do you see how notice how strata and clustering almost sounds like the same exact thing? Right? Okay. So this is the best. Um, if you scroll down, it's going to be appearing on your computer screen. It's also on the last page of notes. This is the stratified versus clustering sample. Okay. So strata is when you pick randomly from a strata group. Good. Where clustering is I broke it up into groups, but I'm gonna just sample from those clusters.
Okay.
Do you see it? Do you see the difference or no? Or would you like a different explanation?
Can I get a different
Yeah.
explanation?
Okay. So what scenario? Do you want to go back to the grade, the math grade, the math testing scenario?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say I broke this up, right? Let's see, four. This would be the next one, and I would no, hold on. Let's do three, three, and three. Okay, so all right, so these are all my different strata. Strata one, two, three, and four. Okay, oh, two, three, and four. Okay. Right. So if I'm gonna do a strata, okay, I can pick this. I can pick every single two from each strata. So I'm gonna go this one. I'm gonna make you take this test, this test,
Mm-hmm.
this test, and this test. Okay, that would be a strata. Good.
So one from like each different.
Sure, but I don't have to do like it doesn't always have to be that way. I could have done it like this. I could pick every single two from every single two. So this one, this one, this one, and this one, right? Two from every single other two. That could be one,
Okay.
right? That would be a strata. Or versus a cluster, right? So I can say this is my cluster one, two, three, four, right? Two, three, four. Okay. And for this one, right? I'm just to say I'm gonna only deal with every single even cluster. So I'm gonna be only working with this, and I would be working with this. There you go. That would be a cluster.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if that doesn't still make sense, this is the basic, like the basic comparison of the two, right? That the strata sampling is individually, but the clusters collectively. What that means is, do you see how I could randomly pick whatever goes into my strata? Like 1, 3, 4, 5. But my clustering, I have to collectively select it. That means I have to use all my elements in that cluster as my sampling. No? Yes? Better? Worse? Okay. So here, this is sort of like the meaning of the two. Um, but like the major difference is that it is when you pick the groups, the the homogeneity is within the group in the sampling, but the cluster is between groups. So this means that clustering, I have to pick. So in my clustering, do you see how I was always using 4 and 2? Those are my groups, and I'm picking within those groups. Whereas if I was doing strata, I was going to be within each group. So I can be uh, this one, right? This one, this one. Do you see how I'm going in between the groups rather than um, you see how I'm going individually rather than the group in of itself? Okay. Okay. That's it. Right? That's sort of the difference between the two. It's gonna come when we do some problems, it's going to make a little bit more sense. Okay?
Right.
Right? And the last thing.
In my
Go ahead.
in my notes, I have multi-stage convenience and the voluntary response.
Yes. So that's the survey part, right? So lastly, it's the idea of the survey. Okay, that there's a systematic sample, right, where you use a rule to pick. So the rule could be I can make you take every single third test. So in our scenario, I'm going to make you take factorization, then series and sequences, dynamic situations, then data analysis. Do you see how I'm using a rule there to generate my what I'm going to I'm putting a rule to generate my trials.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
Now, you brought up a very interesting point about the different types of surveys. Okay? So remember when I say why. Okay, so answer me this question. Why do biases occur?
Why do biases?
What was the answer? Why does biases occur?
To separate the populations, or
Mm,
like or to see like the different views of from the population.
okay. Okay. And you're so if I give you this test, do you think this and ask you how good and this test is going to measure your measurement of how good you are at math is would this would this contain any biases towards your measurement of how good you are at math?
No,
Why?
because you were taught like the material.
All right. So again, biases will always occur because I am not sampling the entire population.
Okay.
Okay, that's the reason why biases occur. Right? It goes back to that the circle diagram, right? Because you are pulling a sample from the population, a bias will always occur. Right? We try to limit that by trying to get a large sample to reflect the population, but a bias will always occur because it's a sample. Okay?
So bias occurs in the sample, but in a population, it doesn't.
Yes, it doesn't because it's the entire population, correct. But you will never know what the population is
Okay.
because it's so big.
Okay.
Okay. Good?
Yeah.
All right. So what's your question? Because there's a bunch of like in the book there's a bunch of surveys. What's your exact question on these surveys?
Um, so surveys is different from what simple, random, systematic, and stratified are.
So in my case, you know my you taking the test, that would be the survey.
Okay.
Okay? That's just that's just the condition in which we're running the trial.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on the because you gave me different types of surveys like because there's not a lot to say about the surveys unless we do the questions. That's why.
Okay, because in
Mhm.
her notes for like multi-stage sample, she put down randomly select 10 classes and randomly select 10 people.
Okay.
And then for convenience sample, like this was at like a school scenario. So it
Mhm.
says stand in a quad, randomly talk to 100 people. And then voluntary response, go set up a table at lunch. People can volunteer.
Okay, so what's your question? So those are all the correct definitions. Do you need further clarification on the definition or like when to apply the surveys or like how the surveys are
So
different?
when do you apply the surveys?
So okay, so in the way it's asked on the AP test is the answer to those questions are basically based on time and money.
Okay.
Okay, so so the setting up a table like the convenience that will save you the most time and save you the most money,
Okay.
but that causes the most error or causes the most biases.
Okay.
Okay.
Because like we did our example question in class,
Okay.
and then it said like it asked for the sampling method, and if it's voluntary or yeah, voluntary response or attempted census. I don't know if you want me to say the or tell you the question.
Yeah, so it's up to you, but I'm just trying to help you out. So what's your question that you're
So
trying to mhm.
if it's a survey or like there's the samples, right? Like the simple, systematic, stratified,
Okay.
the cluster, multi-stage, and convenience, and voluntary. Like what's it? Is that completely different from what simple, systematic, and stratified? Like I know you said it was a survey.
Yes, so the survey is considered a type of multiple. It's one of the uh, cluster and multi-stage. Okay, so multi-stage is okay. Hold on. Okay, so let's see. Okay, okay, all right. So, do you play a sport?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
dance.
yeah, okay. So, Frostoff JV and freshman. Frostoff JV and varsity would be the hold on would be your hold on wait, SRS strata cluster and multi stage okay,
Okay.
right, but within each, but for varsity, right, we're gonna call that multi-stage sampling. In varsity, there's first string, second string, third string, and fourth string.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So that is what I mean by your systematic sampling, um, convenient sampling, and what was the other one?
Voluntary response.
Yeah, voluntary response. Those are all strings within multi-stage sampling. Does that make does that metaphor make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready to do the problems now?
Um. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So do you have the list of the problems on you?
The
Right?
sample survey test review, right?
Yeah, it starts with multiple choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're gonna go over right now. Okay. All right. So okay, let's do number one. Read the question. You give me the answer.
And Landers, who wrote a daily advice column appearing in newspaper across the country, once asked her readers If you had to do it all over again, would you have children? Of the more than 10,000 readers who responded, 70% said no. What does this show? Um, E?
Say that again.
Is it E?
Why do you say E?
Because it was 10,000 of her readers who responded.
Okay. Now say it. It's her reader, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the question? Okay. What is the question that is asked?
What does this show?
Okay. No. Remember when we went back to the idea of simulation? We're always trying to ask the simulation is always answering a question. What is the question that is proposed in number one?
Oh, if you had to do it all over again, would you have children?
Okay, right? We're trying to see if that's a correct. That's our simulation, right? We're trying to see what people think, right? But she's only asking her readers. How is that a legit response if she's only asking her readers?
Oh.
Right? Because what would be considered the population here?
Like the general public?
Correct. Across the country. If
Yeah.
you, right? So if you limit that to only her readers, isn't that not is like how legit like how how randomly is that?
It's not very random.
Right? So do you see how E would be wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Make sure you write, feedback that I'm giving you on it, right? Because it's good to know where we're wrong, right? Then go through the other options. Okay.
Is it C?
C, you say the survey would be more meaningful if she picked a random samples of 100,000 readers who respond. Why do you say that?
Because it's a she picked at random 10,000 readers.
Okay, but if she picked a random sample of the 10,000 people, these are the people who voluntarily responded, right? It then becomes a biased random sample because they are still volunteering to respond. Okay?
Okay.
So, the answer would be A.
A.
Because the readers who responded are all voluntary. Do you see that or no, or would you like a different explanation?
I see that. Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's go to 2.
Which of the following are true statements? If bias is present in a sampling procedure, it can be overcome by dramatically increasing the sample size. There is no such thing as a bad sample. Sampling techniques that use probability techniques effectively limit bias.
Put a star. This is actually a AP question.
Is this like on the multiple choice?
Yep.
Um,
Don't feel bad. 95% of students get this wrong.
D
Why do you say B?
or D?
D. None of these statements are true. Why do you say that?
Um, because you can't, like, if you have a bias, you can't just, like, out of nowhere increase the sample size. Because then
Okay.
you would have to retest the whole thing.
Good. No, that's right. Actually, yeah, that's actually correct. D is actually the correct answer.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of students will actually think number 1 is true because if you if you increase that circle for the whole population, right? But again, No, because taking a larger sample means you're still going to even have sometimes a larger bias. Okay? Good?
Uh-huh.
Good job. Okay, three.
Two possible wordings for questionnaire on gun control are as follows. The United States has the highest rate of murder by handguns among all countries. Most of these murders are known to be planned passion or crimes provoked by anger between acquaintances. Are you in favor of a 7-day cooling off period between the filling of an application to purchase a handgun and being able to sell? Two, the United States has one of the highest violent crime rates among all countries. Many people want to keep handguns in their home for self-protection. Fortunately, U.S. citizens are guaranteed the right to bear arms under the Constitution. Are you in favor of a 7-day waiting period between the filing of an application to purchase another handgun and the resulting sale? One of these questions showed that 25% of the population favored a 7-day waiting period between application for purchase of a handgun and the resulting sale, while the other question showed that 70% of the population favored the waiting period. Which produced which results and why?
Let's go through each option. What do you think?
Um, the first question probably showed 70%, and the second question 25 because of the lack of randomization and trust of gun license plate evidenced by the wording of the questions. Um, the question probably showed 25%, and the second question 70% because of a placebo effect due to the wording of the questions. The first question probably showed 70%, and the second question 25 because of the lack of placebo effect. Um, oh, there's more. The first question probably showed 25%, and the second question 70 because of the response bias due to the wording of the question. The first question probably showed 70%, and the second 25 because of the response bias due to the wording of the questions. Um,
So let me stop you. Knock B makes no sense because the placebo effect is only works for an experiment. This is not an experiment. Same thing with C. You have to take out C because it mentions a control group. Control group is only for an experiment. You're not running an experiment here.
so this would be like survey, right?
Yes.
Question. Um, D
Why do you say D?
because um, people are more in favor of getting a handgun for like their protection sake.
Okay, but let's just look at the answer first of all, right? Ignoring the numbers first, because of response bias to the wording of the question. Is that fair? Is that a fair answer? Because of the response bias due to the wording of the question. Can the wording of a question affect your, bless you, does the wording of a question affect the percent response?
No.
Yes, it does.
Oh, it
That's why
does.
D and E are your two choices.
Okay.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
The only thing that you have to figure out is the only difference between D and E is which one is 25, which one is 70. So go back to the question and bless you. Go back to the question and see which one do you think will contain more of a bias. Which one do you think people are going to be more favor for based on the wording?
It would be more in favor for number two. Right? Oh wait, they would be more in favor of number one.
Correct. Why?
Because between the 7 day cool off period, they have the chance to think about of actually purchasing a firearm.
There you go.
Okay.
So your answer is E. Good?
Uh huh.
Right? So what did I write here? Um, so the best part is, do you see the right to bear arm part by the Constitution?
Uh huh.
Okay, this idea will provoke response bias because people will answer in the way they think the interviewer wants them to answer, or it will simply make them think about that particular side of the issue. Okay, good.
Uh huh.
All right, let's go to 4.
Which of the following are true statements? Voluntary response samples often underrepresent people with strong opinions. Convenience samples often lead to undercovered bias. Questionnaires with non-neutral wording are likely to have response bias. C.
Say that again.
C.
C. Why do you say C?
Because
Hold on, hold on. Why is one wrong? Yeah, why is one wrong?
because voluntary response samples often underrepresent people with strong opinions. Like you're asking, you're voluntary, or they're voluntarily giving you their response.
Correct. So that's exactly the opposite. Good. So why is 2 and 3 correct?
Um, because convenience, you randomly talk to 100, or like you randomly talk to the people, so you can make
Okay,
a.
hold on. So going back to setting up the table at lunch hour.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Why will that undercover the population of your school?
Undercover the population. What does that mean?
Okay, so what was the scenario your teacher proposed? Like, what was the question?
Oh, you are in charge of taking a survey from the student body of BOHS. Explain how you would conduct the survey using the type of following
Yeah, no,
questions.
no, no. But isn't there like supposed to be like a question, like, like what should be the theme of Okay, perfect. Like, what should be the theme of homecoming? Is that a legit question to ask?
Yeah.
Then let's say you set up a booth during lunch,
Uh-huh.
right? And you're only gonna and people are gonna come in and answer that. Do you think you're gonna cover the whole student body population doing that?
No,
Why?
because it's only the people that are gonna come up and.
There you go. Right? Only the people with strong opinions or the people that, like talking will come up,
Uh-huh.
right? Okay?
Uh-huh.
And what about 3? Why is 3 true?
Um, because responses. Wouldn't it be E?
No, 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 no. You're right. It's C, right?
Oh, it is?
Yes. So
Oh,
3 is true. I'm asking you, why is 3 true?
okay.
Because you're right. 2 is correct and 3 is correct. I'm just trying to get you to explain why 3 is correct to make sure you understand it.
Okay. Because not having a not having like question three, how it said like the Constitution doesn't like act in favor of some people.
Good, right? So that non-neutral wording will provoke you to answer it in a certain way, correct?
Yeah.
Good. There you go. All right. 5.
Each of the 29 NBA teams has 12 players. A sample of 58 players is to be chosen as follows. Each team will be asked to place 12 cards with each player's name into a hat and randomly draw 2 names. The two names from each team will be combined to make up the sample. Which of the following sampling techniques is being used in this situation?
Alright, stop. The best way to answer any sort of like this scenario is to actually draw it out. You do never try to do it in your head. Draw it out. Right? Make circles, do anything that you want to give you a better visualization to answer the question. Never just try to think about it. Okay? Alright, go ahead.
Is it systematic? E.
Why do you say it's systematic?
Because you have a sample of 58 players, and then you select two names, or you put the 12 cards, and then you select two names, and then
But how is that systematic? How is there a rule? Systematic, ready? Are you listening?
yeah,
Systematic would be if I select every single third player from every single team. But it all
oh,
has but I am combining the whole roster. But here's the weird part. It says here that I am what? Each 29 teams. Do you see how they're already in a little what?
yeah, like the little, like they already have a set number of how many.
Yeah, so you should already knock because they're in 29 teams. Which one can you already knocked out?
Simple random sample.
Correct.
Mm.
You could also knock out D, and you could also knock out E. Your only two left should be B and C.
So it would be stratify.
Why not cluster?
Like,
Look at the picture. Remember, look at the picture. Remember, look at the picture I gave you with the dice.
oh yeah. Um, because um, it would be cluster because
No, no,
this
no, no. Why is it not like this scenario? Is it clustered or stratify, and why? Which one is it and why?
I would say cluster.
So you see what's on the screen, right? That picture that we were looking at? Cluster? Well, why would you say cluster?
I mean stratify
Why stratify?
because you have the 29 teams with 12 with 12 players, but from the 48 players you put 12 players in and you randomly choose out two names
Two names from what?
from the 12 cards from the
Right?
58.
Yes. Do you see how you're picking two from each?
Yeah.
Right? But that would be stratify. You're picking a bit from each strata.
Uh-huh.
But if it's clustered, I'm saying, oh, I'm only going to be picking from one team or and the eighth team.
Okay.
Do you see how you're picking a bit from each strata? Or does that make like does that give you better sense of how strata and clustering work now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. 6.
To survey the opinions of bleachers. Bleacher fans at Wrigley Field, a surveyor plans to select every 100th fan entering the bleachers and out game. Will this result in a simple random sample of Cub fans who sit in the bleachers? Um,
Why do you say A?
Um, because it's talking about everyone who walks in through the into the field, and
Okay.
it's using 100th fan.
Okay.
So they don't know who the 100th fan is. So
Yeah, yeah, no, but how is that SRS though? How is that simply random?
um,
What about the people that show up early or late?
and they don't get to be a part of it
Right? So, but how's that simply random then?
because it's like um,
You're missing, I think you're missing the definition of simple random sample, right?
uh-huh.
Simple random sample, by definition, is where everyone
Mhm.
has an equal chance of being selected. That is the definition of simple random sample.
Because on our little definition sheet, she just put like get a list of everyone, randomly select 100 names.
Yes, correct. But you see how everyone has the same equal chance?
Yeah.
But in this scenario, is everybody have an equal chance though?
No.
No, because there are some people who show up early and late.
So E.
Correct. Good?
Yeah.
Because that is purely the definition of what SRS stands for. Equally chanced. Alright? Any other questions on that?
No.
Okay. Alright. So, 7?
Which of the following are true statements about sampling error? Sampling error can be eliminated only if the survey is both extremely well designed and extremely well conducted. Sampling error concerns natural variations between samples, is always present, and can be described using probability. Sampling error is generally smaller than the smaller sample size is always larger.
So, oh, bring this back to the scenario that we asked. You're trying to ask what should be the theme for homecoming, okay? And you're trying to sample your whole student body, right? Try to think about it in that context. Maybe that could help you, okay?
Uh, um, A?
Okay, you said A, 1
Yeah.
and 2. Okay. Okay. So, 1. Sampling error can be eliminated if only a survey is both extremely well designed and extremely well conducted, right? So in our scenario, right, you're gonna give a survey, right, and you conducted a survey to your student body, and you conduct it really well, right? Will that still eliminate your selection of, let's say you picked your every single fourth student, right? Is that still going to um, give you a good measurement of the whole population?
Um, yeah. No.
No, because sampling error can never be eliminated. That is the basic definition. The sampling error can never be eliminated because it is a sample, not the entire population. Okay. Have you taken calc?
No.
Do you know the idea of a limit?
Um, yeah.
You know how you can approach zero but can never touch zero?
Yeah.
Okay. The sampling error applies the same way. You can never completely get to zero sampling error, but you can get close to it, but it can never be eliminated. Right? Like you could measure almost like 99.999% of the whole population, right?
Mhm.
But the fact that you cannot get the whole population, there's still gonna be sampling error.
Okay.
Okay? So one is wrong. What? And you also said two, right? Why do you say two?
Um.
Wait. Hold on. Sorry. Your answer was A, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So two is you said two is correct. Explain why two is correct.
Um. Because like. I'm not sure.
Okay. Because this is actually the definition. Sampling error is the natural variance between samples, right? It's that pulling of that small circle out of that big circle. It's always present.
Okay.
Okay, that's the definition. That is why two is correct. There's no explanation for that.
Um,
Okay,
uh-huh.
good. And three. Why
Um.
do you say three was wrong? You said three was wrong, right?
Yeah.
Why is three wrong?
This.
You could change your answer and say three is right. You just have to tell me if it's right or wrong.
Um, it's right because it.
Hold on. Uh, okay, hold on. Hello? Okay, yeah, we lost connection. Sorry about that. Okay, so why is three correct?
Because like you said, like the larger the sampling size, um, like the sampling error is smaller.
Yeah, correct. That's it. Right? That's just how it works. Okay? Good? Alright, eight.
What fault do all these sampling designs have in common? The Wall Street Journal plans to make a prediction for a presidential election based on a survey of its readers. The radio talk show host asked people to phone in their views on whether the United States should pay off its huge debt to the United Nations. A detective interested in determining the expensive drugs used by teenagers randomly picked a sample of high school students and interviews each one of them about any illegal drug used by the students in the last year. A. Did all the designs make improper use of stratification? All the designs had errors that could make teachers miss. C. All the designs association with cause and effect. D. None of the designs satisfactorily controls for sampling error. E. None of the designs make use of chance in sampling and selecting new samples.
What you should do is go through each example and just look at its biases, basically. Which one can you already like take out because it makes no sense for the context of this question? No, 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 no. A, B, C, D, or E.
Oh,
Just
oh,
looking. Yeah.
okay. Um, C,
Correct.
D,
Correct, because that's for an experiment. What else can you knock out?
mm, E,
Say that again.
E,
E, like
yeah.
elephant. Correct. So you're left with A and B.
Uh-huh. Is it A?
So improper use of stratification. What are the stratifications for it then? Like one. What are well, okay? What are the stratifications?
Um, like you can have the Democrats and the Republicans.
It doesn't really say that, but okay. What about two?
Um, like people who
Is there any mentions of any groups in two?
no,
What about three?
no.
So how can it be A then?
So B.
Correct. So do you see how strata makes no sense in two or three? Even one, because you make the categories of Democrat and the Republicans, but it wasn't given. There was no stratification occurring in any of it. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Now, tell me what biases occur in one.
Bias.
Yes.
Um,
The Wall Street Journal plans to make a prediction. What is that bias? Based on a survey of its readers.
like you mean like is it simple, random, simple, systematic, like
No, no, no. What sort of bias is it?
oh like undercover, voluntary, like
Yep.
um um undercoverage
Why is it under coverage?
because it's based just on the readers.
So isn't that voluntary then? Based.
Yeah,
Correct. Okay.
yes.
What about two?
Um, voluntary,
Correct. What about three?
non-response.
Correct. Response bias. Yep. Nine.
A state auditor is given an assignment to choose and audit 26 companies. She lists all the companies whose names begin with A, assigns each a number, and uses a random number table to pick one of these numbers, and lists one company. She proceeds to use the same procedures for each letters of the alphabet, and then combines the 26 results into a group of auditing. Which of the following are true statements based on the scenario? One, her procedure makes use of chance. Her procedure results in a simple random sample. Three, each company has an equal probability of being audited. Um, is it A?
You say it's one and two are correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me how number one is true. Her procedure makes use of chance.
Because she lists all the company's names and then she randomly like picks a number.
Okay, okay, that's correct. Now, two, how's that a result in SRS? Remember, the basic definition of SRS is that everyone has an equal chance.
So since everyone she's randomly or she put a list of all those names. Oh, just kidding. So it wouldn't be true because she puts all the companies whose names begins with an A.
Correct. So she's doing what? Stratifying it, right?
Yeah.
So two would be wrong. So you're saying 3 is correct. Okay. Why is 3 correct then?
Um, like each company that was put into the random picking,
So each company is equally to be audited? How is that if they are stratifying each company?
it, uh, it's not to them.
Correct.
So E.
Correct. Good? 2 and 3
Yeah.
have the same error. You're both stratifying it. Once you stratify it, it doesn't become SRS. Alright. We're almost running out of time. We got like what, 10 more minutes? Do you want to do more multiple choice? I got some free response in the bottom. What do you want?
Um, multiple choice.
Alright, keep going then.
Okay. A researcher planning a survey of heads of households in a particular state has census of each of the 23 counties in that state. The procedure will be to obtain a random sample of heads of households from each of the counties rather than grouping all the census lists together and obtaining a sample from each of the counties. Which of the following is a true statement of multiple test? One, it is not a simple random sample. Two, it is easier and less costly to obtain than a sample or than a simple random sample. Three, it gives comparative information that a simple random sample may not. Um, what does census mean?
Oh, a census is a survey of a population.
Okay.
Like they send out like a census to your house and say like how many people are in your house,
Uh-huh.
right? Um,
Um, B or I mean C.
see. So you think 1 and 3 is correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not a simple random sample. I believe you. Okay. And 3, I give comparative information. Okay. So what about 2? Why is 2 wrong then?
Um, because if it was simple random sample,
No, remember you said 1 was correct. You said 1 is correct. So it is not a simple random sample.
yeah. So it doesn't have to, or since I said one, it's not a simple random sample, then it shouldn't be a simple random sample. If that makes sense. I don't know.
So shouldn't 2 be right or 2 be wrong then?
To be wrong.
No, because that's 2 is the opposite of 1.
Yeah, like I meant like simple random. It's not simple random sample.
Yes, correct. So 2, is it easier and less costly to obtain than a simple random sample? What is the difference between convenient sampling and simple random sampling?
Convenience is like when you randomly spot.
Yeah, you set up your table during lunch. Isn't that easy and less costly?
Yeah.
There you go. So 2 is still correct.
Okay. I just like when I read it, it sounded confusing.
Yeah, so do you see why people actually struggle with the AP stats test? It's actually reading that's hard, not the math.
Yeah.
So you have to really a lot of students like highlighting key information, right? So you just have to develop your own annotating style for the questions, okay?
Okay.
All right, 11.
To find out the average occupancy size of a student rented apartment, a researcher picks a simple random sample of 100 such apartments. Even after one follow-up visit, the interviewer is unable to make contact with any 127 of the Concerned about non-response bias, the researcher chooses another simple random sample and instructs the interviewers to continue this procedure until contact is made with someone in a total 100 apartments. The average occupancy size in the final 100 apartment sample is 2.78. Is this estimate probably too low or too high? Mm, A.
Why do you say A?
Um, because there were there were 27 apartments that didn't follow.
So I believe you. It's an undercoverage bias, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But why do you say it's too low then?
Um, mm, I, I just saw like the undercoverage bias part.
Correct. So A and C are still your correct. A and C are still your two choices then, because both of them have the correct statement, undercover bias.
Yeah.
So the issue is this: is the scenario presented going to give you an estimation of too low or too high? Remember, read the second sentence. Even after one follow up visit, the interviewer is unable to make contact with anyone in the 27 of those apartments. And,
So too high.
okay, go back. Remember, a simulation
Uh-huh.
asks a question. What is the question that occurs first? What is the question?
The average occupancy size.
Size of a student rented apartment.
Mm,
You're basically asking how many people live here.
uh-huh.
Can you make that connection yet? Or no?
No.
Okay. So think of why the interviewer was unable to make contact with anyone in those 27 apartment. No one was home, correct? That's why they didn't respond.
Yeah.
Which is actually the point of the survey, your average occupancy. So, if he continues around to find random apartments with people in them,
Okay.
chances are those apartments have more people in them because the fact that there's more people in in those apartments, they're more likely to answer the door, correct?
Yeah.
Hence, it's an overestimation.
Oh.
So remember, you always have to go back to your simulation question to give you some context. Okay?
Okay.
Right. 12.
To conduct a survey of long distance campus, a researcher opens a telephone book to a random page, closes his eyes, and puts his finger down on the page. Conclusion is made. Which of the following are true statements regarding survey? The survey design incorporates chance. The procedure results in a simple random sample. The procedure could easily result in a selection bias. B.
Why do you say B?
Because you have a chance of getting your name chosen.
Okay. And so the survey. Okay, good.
And then three, it can be selection bias because like in a telephone book, it like It goes by name.
Yep, correct. Because people without a phone will have an unlisted number.
Yeah.
Correct. Good. 13.
Uh, which of the following are true statements regarding sampling? Careful analysis of a given sample can indicate whether or not it is random. Sampling error implies an error, possibly very small but still an error, on the part of the surveyor. Data obtained while conducting a census are always more accurate than data obtained from a sample, no matter how careful the design of the sample. See?
So you only think 3 is correct. Why is 3 correct? Data obtained while conducting a census are always more accurate than data obtained from a sample.
Because data from data or like census is from like is the population.
Okay, good. Okay, okay. Now, go back to the question and highlight, circle, or underline that word always.
Uh,
Do you see that?
yeah.
Okay, that is why it's wrong. Always is an absolute. If you ever see always in a multiple choice question, it's actually a red flag for it being wrong.
Oh.
hmm It's a trick question. The census does give you an accurate data because it's almost for the population, but it's saying always more accurate is wrong. You cannot say always because it's a rule of stats. You cannot like the 100% certainty doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay? All right, two more questions, then you're allowed to leave. 14, then 15. Let's do 14 first.
Consider the following three cases. Although 18% of the student bodies are minorities in a sample of 20 students, five are minorities. In a survey about sexual habits, an embarrassed student deliberately gives a wrong answer. The surveyor mistakenly records answers to one question and another. Which of the correctly character which of the following correctly characterizes the above? A. One sampling error, two response bias, three common mistake. A.
Correct. 15.
A researcher plans a study to examine the death of policemen data amongst the adult population. He obtains a simple random of 100 adults as they lead search one Sunday morning. All but one of them agrees to participate in the survey. Which of the following statements are true? Proper use of chance as evidenced by the simple random sample makes this a large answer. A high response rate makes this a wise answer. The selection bias makes this a poor design survey. See?
Why do you say C?
Because he's going to an adult population on a Sunday morning at the church while they're waiting.
Okay, but like you haven't given me. I get the context, but how does that like? But how's that
Because
sectional bias?
he's focusing the survey based on the people who go to church when there's people who believe but don't really go to church.
Yeah, or people who already go to church that already believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. You're all good. Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So I emailed you on your email. I emailed you the whole complete solution, including um, the multiple choice answers as well. No, sorry, the free response answer as well. You want to look through those, but that's about it. If you want to continue tutoring, this is sort of the same format, right?
Okay.
But you have to give me the topic or questions that you want to cover beforehand. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye.
Thank you.